it has been brought to my attention that it now appears that if you write too many emails to your MP or people that you think are in charge, you might get into trouble under the Malicious Communications Act 1988. Now, the Malicious Communications Act is made really for poison pen letters when people did not have electronic means of communication. But obviously, we don't want to be receiving poison pen emails from people who hate us and want to tell us horrible things about ourselves. And of course, that shouldn't be allowed if nasty people want to write us horrible letters with the intention of causing anxiety or distress. But I see that a barrister advertised in his Chambers website has been announced to successfully prosecuting a right-wing extremist who threatened politicians with a, quote, a white tsunami of hate and revenge. I don't really know the details of it. It hasn't been in the media at all. The only thing that I can find that is similar is the one I've just looked up. The one that I've just found reported in The Sun, which says, man, 52, arrested after Deputy Labour leader Angela Rayner received a string of threats. So this 52-year-old has been allegedly sending threatening and abusive letters and emails as well as phone calls on October 15th. So it was just on October 15th. He might have had a bad day, and it sounds like he's a constituent of Angela Rayner. And he's from Manchester. I guess her constituency would be Manchester. Just check for you. Ashton-under-Lyne. I'm a bit vague about where it is, but it's somewhere up north, right? Well, Lancashire, Manchester, yeah, that sort of area. All right, so this report of Tom Dyke prosecuting this man with a strange name of Thomas. He was alleged to have he was convicted of being engaged in a sustained campaign of virulently racist, anti-Semitic and violent abuse. Now, what does violent abuse mean? Was he using violent language, or was he really violently abusing whoever? In which he targeted a group of high-profile politicians with offensive and threatening emails. These included the former leader of the Labour Party, Jeremy Corbyn MP, Hilary Benn MP, and the then Speaker of the House of Commons, John Bercow MP. I know he's a Tory, but he might as well be Labour because his wife is Labour. as well as a journalist for The Guardian. So it's all these lefties being targeted by this angry Thomas Thomas. Unfortunately for Mr. Thomas, he was said to be an active member of the neo-Nazi website Stormfront. So that makes him very easy to demonize. So his emails threatened, quote, "Only the threat and implementation of violent revolt can change things for ordinary people," unquote. I wonder if his barrister argued that, he was only making a prediction. He wasn't himself arguing. I mean, he wasn't himself threatening to incite a violent revolt. He was just predicting. Well, no, he wasn't even predicting. He was just stating what would happen if things didn't change, in his opinion, right? Not everybody's making this prediction. He was only expressing an opinion. Only the threat and implementation of violent revolt can change things for ordinary people. Was he saying that he would be threatening and implementing violent revolt? It's not clear from the words that was what he was doing. He was just saying, well, since he refused to listen to us, then the only thing that would change your objectionable policies would be violent revolt, though not necessarily being incited by me, Mr. Thomas Thomas. Mr. Thomas went on to make reference to the terrorist attacks in New Zealand, saying that, quote, "A white tsunami of hate and revenge is on its way to Europe's sacred shores. When it hits, it's gonna make Christchurch 29 look like a chimps tea party," unquote. That's another prediction. Or a statement of his political opinion. Of course, he could be said to be deliberately upsetting these people because Mr. Thomas was convicted by a jury at Snaresbrook Crown Court of 5 counts of sending electronic communications with intent to cause anxiety or distress. So it sounds like he sent 5 emails, and it is to 1, Jeremy Corbyn, 2, Hilary Benn MP, John Bercow, and a Guardian. I'm sorry, how many? Former leader of the Labour Party, Jeremy Corbyn, 1, Hilary Benn, 2, John Bercow, 3, and a journalist, and a journalist for the Guardian. So there's only 4. I don't know what's the 5th count for. He probably just sent it. Well, CC, carbon copy. So we don't know how long he's going to be. Well, we don't know. His sentence is going to be on 17th January 2022. Sounds like he just sent one email with a copy to all the parties that he had sent. And it seems that if we dare complain to our politicians and make predictions about the future, which was based on our opinion, they're going to criminalize us. So this is perhaps how it's going to be. I mean, I guess, it's certainly arguable that this man, Thomas, was intending to cause anxiety or distress to Jeremy Corbyn, Hilary Benn, John Berger, and a journalist for The Guardian, because he was not happy with the way they had done things, and he did want to cause them anxiety or distress, because he thought that the only way to make them change is to cause them anxiety or distress. But he's going to be convicted of a crime, and we don't know if he's going to be sent to prison like poor Alison Shablow has been twice. She's got her court case coming up early next year in February. So they might send her to prison for, not being happy about. No. She thought she had the right to deny the Holocaust. In my view, I don't think what she said amounted to Holocaust denial, but they put her in prison anyway. So there's no telling what they're going to do to the rest of us. They're making it clear what they don't want us to do, and it seems we can't complain about government policy. So let's have a closer look at the Angela Rayner thing. Angela Rayner, man charged with malicious communications over threats and abuse sent to Labour's deputy leader. This was dated the 28th of October. Greater Manchester Police say 36-year-old Benjamin Iliffe from Cambridgeshire will appear at Huntingdon Magistrates Court later on Thursday to face the charge. And we see Angela Rayner as a blonde woman with long hair. Or is she a redhead? I can't really tell. So 36-year-old Benjamin Iliffe. Oh dear. He's also been charged with possessing cannabis. Texting while stoned. Is that going to be his excuse? Perhaps we'll give it to him as an excuse. It comes as police said they made a third arrest over the phone calls, emails, and letters that have been sent to Ms. Rayner in recent weeks. According to Greater Manchester Police, a 70-year-old man was arrested in conjunction with South Yorkshire Police on suspicion of malicious communication and is still in custody. He was held over emails received on 16th October. On Wednesday, a 50-year-old was arrested in Halifax, West Yorkshire, and bailed over abusive phone calls Ms. Rayner received a day earlier. Do we even have the pleasure of reading the threatening, abusive, and insulting nature of these emails? Inquiries remain ongoing, and GMP continues to work in partnership with Cambridgeshire Constabulary and South Yorkshire Police, a police statement said. Ms. Rayner, MP for Ashton-under-Lyne, reported getting the threatening communications over a number of weeks. How dare they complain to her? How dare her constituents complain to her about how Labour is governing its constituency. A spokesperson for Ms. Rayner said after the first arrest was made, abuse and threats of this nature don't just have an impact on Angela, but also on her family, her children, her staff who are on the receiving end of these communications. The arrests come at a time of heightened focus on MP security and the abuse they receive in the wake of the killing of Sir David Amis. The Conservative MP for Southend West was fatally stabbed in a suspected terror attack as he held a constituency surgery in Leigh-on-Sea, Essex, earlier this month. So, what's the future for the relationship between MPs and their constituents? I suppose they could talk to their constituents, like what behind a glass thing, when you see movies, somebody is in prison and you go and visit them and there's this glass between you and you can't pass them any weapons or drugs or whatever, and you can kind of, touch each other's hands through the glass. That sort of thing. Well, maybe that's going to be the future. But I don't see why they can't do Zoom calls, that are on record so people can hear. What I think would be a good idea, if I were in charge, I would have a special department for the complaints of citizens, and I would hire people to deal with their complaints and explain why things are the way they are, or if they don't have to be the way they are, then they could be changed. That would be the best way of dealing with it. And I think that would allow the governed to feel heard when they have their complaints against the government, instead of, actually being sorry, I've forgotten what I was going to say now. I shouldn't read my notifications while I'm talking to you. I guess it's maybe a little distracting. So, where was I? I would have a ministry of complaints and deal with anybody's complaints. Obviously they'd have to give their address and whatever, and but the point of these this ministry would be to explain to people why things are the way they are. And I think that would be a nice job creation scheme for civil servants, for tactful ones who want to feel that they've solved somebody's problems, and or at least made a good explanation of why things have to be the way they are, or change things if they don't have to be the way they are, in my one-party theocracy. And I think this department of government would actually be the most important department of all. So this would be my solution, and of course, as those of you who know me, I do have a range of solutions. I'm sorry I gave the impression that all these people were the constituents of Angela Rayner. I guess I'm making a kind of collective what was I trying to say? I'm saying that they seem to be Northerners. They seem to be Northerners, and they're not happy. And we know that Manchester, those places up north are solid Labour constituencies, but it seems that individual Labour voters or people living up north are not happy with the way things are, and the murder of David Amos has increased the anxiety of female Labour MPs and even some male Labour MPs, because when they received some nasty letters of complaining about the government, they called the cops. So we have to wonder at the fortitude of these people who presume to govern us when they basically snitch on constituents who are not happy with their performance. It doesn't seem to me to be a particularly wise way of dealing with it. Getting heavyweight lawyers to convict them of crimes and possibly imprison them, because that would stop people from just talking things through, and in fact to make it more likely for violence to be used. Oh dear, I hope I'm not going to be, targeted, accused of causing anxiety and distress to our politicians. Well, maybe I do, but because that's the only way to make them change their policy or have an honest debate about why things are the way they are. I think we all feel it necessary that our anxieties be addressed. And if they're actually shutting us up and stopping us from complaining, then it's clear something is wrong. I mean, I would have thought that if you were running government for the benefit of the people, I mean, obviously, if you're not running it for the benefit of the people, you're just running it for the benefit of people like yourselves, then you wouldn't care about the people. And yes, it's annoying that they complain and sometimes in abusive, insulting language, because they're really not happy with your performance and they feel they have a right to complain in those terms. And you think, well, this country isn't being run for their benefit. Why the hell are they complaining? We'll shut them up good and proper by sending them to prison for daring to complain. So we need to know what the situation is. I don't mind adding my voice to that of Thomas, who predicts violence if things don't change. I mean, well, why do people do these things anyway? I mean, obviously they're very unhappy, and they're just not going to forget about it. And as far as I can see, he was only making a prediction based on his personal opinion about how things are going. And if he's wrong about his prediction, then let him be wrong, instead of persecuting and prosecuting him. And this would be a good time to point out that chapter 2, verse 256 of the Quran does say that there is no compulsion in belief. Truth stands clear from error. So even if the likes of Thomas are terribly mistaken and there's no danger of a violent insurrection, then let him say what he wants to say without putting him in jail or making him a criminal. Or implement my idea of a ministry of complaints. We know Orwell in 1984 had a number of ministries. I know the Ministry of Love, I know the Ministry of Truth, the Mystery of Plenty. Let's have a look. where is it? Yes, the ministries of Oceania: Ministry of Peace, Ministry of Plenty, Ministry of Truth, and Ministry of Love, but no Ministry of Complaints, because people wouldn't dare. And they always blamed, what's his name, Emmanuel Goldstein, right? So that would be my peaceful solution. Obviously, this is a job application scheme for myself. I would be running the Ministry of Complaints. And yeah, I think that would work. So this is my peaceful and legal proposal to the constituents of various MPs, sending their own MPs threatening, abusive, insulting letters designed to cause anxiety and distress in order to make them do something about the bad government that they are suffering. And there should be a debate. Yeah, the Ministry of Complaints should also be the Department of Debate or something of that nature.